As most of you may know from reading about me, I grew up in Sierra Leone in West Africa, which is a very small country, but I grew up in the countryside, in the southern part of the country. Sierra Leone is a former British colony, so hence we have the British sort of model of education. So as a young child, my father would tell me that education was one of the things that was quite important. And actually, it was the only thing we celebrated. When you came home with your results at the end of the school year, that was the only thing we celebrated. We didn't celebrate birthdays or anything else. But yet I grew up in a place, even though there was this love for education and for learning, people did not have access to books at all. We didn't even know of a library. There was nothing. So what happens in the school system was that the teacher would have a book, a textbook, and he or she would read from it to the students, and he or she would dictate, and then you would take notes. And so in order for you to gain access to these books, you had to befriend the teacher. And so to go to the teacher's house. But because these things were so scarce, nobody wanted to give it. So when you went to the teacher's house, the teacher actually would have a little bucket of water or cup on a bucket of water, and he would make you sit down, and then he would bring a bar of soap, and he would make you wash your hand before you touch the only book that he or she had. And then he would watch you constantly to make sure that you didn't go anywhere out of his sight or her sight to read this book, and you will make notes and take notes. And so this is how we learned. And because I really love literature, one of my teachers, I would go to his house often. Particularly, he had like some, versions of Shakespeare. As I grew older, I would go and sit with him and I would read and I would ask him questions. So this was my idea, I guess, early on of a librarian. When I got to the school, it was the United Nations International School. It was the first time that I encountered a library system. They had one in the school, and I went there. And I asked the lady who was in charge of it, why are all the books on the shelf? What is this? And she told me, oh, if you like a book, we can give it to you, and you can take it home and read it, and you can bring it back. I was so shocked, because I was like, they would give you the book, they would just think that you bring it back, Because to me, this was absolutely beyond, anything. And this made me want to come to school every day, because I thought there's a whole room filled with books that you can just take whichever one you like, and you can read as long as you like, and you can bring it back, and nobody's gonna watch, But I was so excited, and I'll come to school, and I remember even going back home and talk to my mom, do you know that you can go to this place in the school, and you can ask them for a book, and you can just sign, and they will let you take it? And she just smiled, And then she told me about the New York Public Library, and I would go there as well. So this was really my first introduction to library, and I didn't really know how to use the system, because I would just go and I would ask, and they would help me find it. So when I went to university, I actually I arrived late, so I missed the tour for how to use the library. So I had to go every day and harass this librarian who was at the desk to tell me, how do I get the ISBN number, what do I do with it? Where do I go? And slowly I began to learn the system itself. But for me, I wanted to tell the story a little bit, because I want people to understand, and I'm sure you do know that, the importance of really having a place that holds knowledge, having a place that has books that people can have access to, because kids in other parts of the world can do anything just to have access to even a leaflet of pages that can allow them to read something different. And when I was growing up, we didn't have this at all.